everyone knows about morning wood, and we poke our partners with it, and we laugh about it. But I didn't realize that the number of nocturnal erections is a leading indicator of man's cardiovascular health. And leading meaning it's predictive. Before the majority of men, before they have a heart attack or a stroke, that number of erections go down, or before they develop clinically significant diabetes. So this becomes a sixth vital sign, and one is really important to men because it involves the sexual function, but it also reflects the cardiovascular, the cardiometabolic health.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Executive Health and Life. I'm your host, Julian Hayes II, back at it again. And this morning, I woke up and I checked 5 typical vital signs that probably most of us check: our temperature, our heart rate, our respiratory rate, our blood pressure, and our oxygen saturation. And thanks to technology now in the form of wearables, I'm able to easily check this data on a daily basis. But what if I told you, which this was brought up to my attention maybe a month or two ago, and it makes perfect sense. It's like you see something and now you can't unsee it. But what if I told you that there's a 6th vital sign that no one is talking about? This vital sign is our nocturnal erections. Now, if you're a woman and listening, do not go away. Don't turn it off just yet. Do not stop listening, because you're going to be presented with some life-changing information that you can share with the most important man in your life or men in your life. Now, wearable technology is revolutionizing various aspects of our health, but our sexual health is an area that hasn't been properly addressed. And that brings me to my guest today, Dr. Elliot Justin. He's a leading expert in the realm of sexual health and performance. He has a background in emergency medicine, along with founding multiple successful exits for companies he founded in the healthcare technology space. He's currently the founder and CEO of FirmTech, the world's first smart male wearables company. So without further ado, Dr. Elliot Justin, how are you doing today?
Pleasure to be here. By the way, women have nocturnal erections too. And
Interesting.
We've invented it. We have divided it on 38 women. I'll count that as well. And we intend to launch that product probably the end of 24, certainly early 25. And we just presented a paper about that at the International Society for Sexual Medicine Conference in Dubai.
Wow.
But as far as men go, yeah, you're right. There's a gap.
Well, that's interesting. Nocturnal erections. So we'll come back to that. I'm going to actually make a note on that because I'm curious, like, is there a certain number for them? So I'm going to write that down. But the first thing here is we were talking a little bit before we hit record, and we were talking about Dubai, and I wanted to share it just to hear. It's a city that I'm interested in, and listeners know that I love just talking about random things when I first start off. So what are your impressions of the city of Dubai?
I've been to Dubai probably five times now, and it's dazzling. I mean, the architecture makes Las Vegas seem like it's behind the times, like it makes strips like behind the times. But because it's Muslim, there's the vices are kind of hidden. So there are there's no alcohol in restaurants. Don't see, and one of the things that actually makes Vegas buzz is the fact that whether people you have both the rich and the poor mobbing the city, enjoying intoxication, clubs, etc., at all levels of entry. Whether someone just is going to pay nothing to get into a club, or someone's going to have to have the carpet, the bar lifted for. In Dubai, pretty much everyone is rich. People who are there, the expats and the Arabs who are there are rich. Dubai Mall is probably the most spectacular mall I've ever been to in my life. It's kind of overwhelming, kind of almost gross materialism. Everything is really, really expensive. This show was a big deal because there's this is a Muslim country, and it's the first sex show that they've ever had. But it wasn't a sex toy show. It's the International Society for Sexual Medicine. So it's the prestige congress of urologists and sexologists, from around the world. And we had a great show. We sold out everything we brought, and we presented 2 papers. One paper is about the safety of our ring, because one of the things that's held back cock rings, or erection rings, whatever you want to phrase it for your show, from popularity is that they're uncomfortable. They're made out of hard silicone, and they can only be worn for 20 or 30 minutes. And they haven't been designed to either enhance pleasure or collect useful data, and our ring has. So one of our goals at this show and at the American Urology Association show coming up in May is to establish our ring as the safe ring, the only safe ring. And the other paper was on measuring pulse amplitude during clitoral arousal, and that device could be used to determine how many nocturnal erections women have. Let's focus on men first. We talk about women later on. There is this gap in wearables, and I'll ask you, Julian, what do you care more about? The status of your penis or how many steps you took yesterday? So, and that's true for all guys. So it kind of takes me aback that, again, sort of like being at these urology or scientific medicine shows, I think, why has no one else thought of doing what we're doing? And I think it's really the fault of medicine. Medicine's focused on making money, better for worse. The money for urologists is in surgery. It's in putting implants to people, or correcting, or doing things that are surgically correctable, and therefore, what most interests people, which is, I'll put it this way: we're all on this path. All men, that is, women too. On this path from what I call erectile fitness to path from erectile fitness to erectile dysfunction, and we need data to determine where we are on that path. And with data, we can say, well, this is where we are. This is where I want to be. How do I keep my fitness where it is right now? Just the way we check out our blood pressure, or get an electrocardiogram against baseline blood tests. So this device, the idea for this device really required a doctor who had done research. It required someone who also knew about sex toys. And that's where, this came to me really almost providentially. There was my first day in medical school, I went to the medical school library at Boston University, and I wanted to read about aphrodisiacs. I was the only one doing that. I was thinking, who are these guys I'm going to school with? I mean, no one else is interested. I was interested, and I tried out pretty much all of them. Still the same stuff that's on the herbal stuff that's on the market today: L-arginine, DHEA, horny goatweed, Afghan Dawanda, this, that, or the other thing, and Yohimbe. None of these things work. And then I also played around with every once in a while I buy a cock ring, and they just uncomfortable. They don't enhance man's pleasure. And then I got involved with started a company called Swift MD, which is the second oldest home in the United States after Teladoc. And that got me interested in remote patient management tools. And then I was, I live in Montana and I own horses, and I sometimes have this illusion that I'm, centaur, that I'm like one with my horses, moving really quickly. And that could be a very bad idea. So anyway, some do-gooder had cut a tree that had fallen over a trail and said you could walk underneath, couldn't ride underneath it if you're going about 35 miles per hour and you weren't paying attention. I shattered that tree with my chest, and I broke 6 vertebrae. And as I was lying on the ground, I was thinking, gee, and I'll pass this on to all your viewers. If ever you have a spinal cord injury, you want to try to cock back your big toe. I call it the cock up sign. You cock back your big toe, you can urinate, defecate, and fornicate, the big 3. So, but I have to be thinking, what if I couldn't? What had been done to help men who had spinal cord injuries? And there were 5 papers in what we call the medical literature. And of course, it really is literature because most of it's not reproducible, as people should realize after COVID. There are 5 papers where renowned urologists, peer-reviewed articles, claim that they were able to produce erections through neuromodulation. Neuromodulation is basically placing a stimulating electrode across the skin with electromagnetism or electricity, or actually implanting an electrode by a nerve and controlling that body part. So the cardiac pacemaker would be the paradigm. What's interesting about neuromodulation is the cardiac pacemaker works. No other part of the body we've really been able to consistently improve function. But to control, so there's a nerve called the cavernous nerve. That's everyone's favorite nerve that no one's heard about, which is supposed to be responsible for orgasms in men and women. And eventually I had a urology friend plant the electrode by my cavernous nerve at the base of my penis, and I felt nothing. But a doctor, urologist at the University of Utah, Dr. James Collins, now my medical officer, he and a colleague, an engineer, been working for like 10, 11 years trying to come up with a way of counting the number of men's nocturnal erections. He heard about what I did, and he said, would you like to raise some money and be the CEO of this company? And I said, well, what do you got so far? And they had embedded sensors into a condom ring, and were able to count the number of nocturnal erections. I said, well, that's interesting. Why the fuck would anyone want to count the number of nocturnal erections? I didn't even know about this, their significance. And everyone knows about morning wood, and we poke our partners with it, and we laugh about it. But I didn't realize that the number of nocturnal erections is a leading indicator of man's cardiovascular health. And leading meaning it's predictive. Before the majority of men, before they have a heart attack or a stroke, that number of erections go down, or before they develop clinically significant diabetes. So this becomes a sixth vital sign, and one that's really important to men because it involves the sexual function, but it also reflects the cardiovascular, the cardiometabolic health. So I'm confident that what we're doing right now, we have called the Erectile Fitness Score, and if you get one of our tech rings, you'll get this, and I can show you on my phone what it looks like. We give people an objective score, and just the way Whoop or Oura give smart rings, give people objective scores about their health. So utilizing that data, men can now measure the impact of diseases, diabetes, hypertension, atherosclerosis, obesity.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
The medications, the big cock killers are antihypertensives and SSRI antidepressants. Relationships, diet, supplements, exercise, all these things can now be measured against your performance. So, go ahead.
Yeah. So, when you mentioned that, like this could, and so I'm thinking, sometimes we use like blood pressure as a way to measure these things, but blood pressure, to my knowledge, doesn't just move that quick a lot of times with people, right? And so that's it. That's a long lag time between an issue actually manifesting and actually being quote unquote diagnosed, right? Where it seems like with this, you're getting a warning sign much quicker. Is that
right?
Okay.
So, if my blood pressure, my blood pressure is usually mid 120s, high 120s, borderline high, whatever that means. Borderline high, normal. If my blood pressure went to 140 or 150, what does that mean? I mean, am I not getting sleep? Am I drinking too much? Blood pressure is an association with disease, and it's only when it's consistently high that it becomes predictive. So, if you, Julian, had 5 nocturnal erections per night and you went to 2, you've got a problem. You're either developing significant atherosclerosis or you're on a medication that's significantly impacting your sexual performance.
Now, is there a certain age group, right? So say like an 18-year-old, his nocturnal erections compared to maybe like a 45-year-old. Is there going to be an expected difference in the number that's expected of them?
That's what we're doing is even better. So there's a futurist on the aging area named Brian Johnson.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So he says that he has the penis of an 18-year-old. He's in his 40s. But that's not true, Brian, because it's actually kind of like a cliff. So I have as many nocturnal erections, so I probably did when I was 18. Now I don't know what I had then. But I average. I have about 4 nocturnal erections per night. That doesn't mean I have the penis of an 18-year-old. It just means I have good cardiovascular health, which is nice to say. But in order to have the penis of an 18-year-old, I have to have the refractory period of an 18-year-old. So the refractory period is a time not between erection, the time between climaxes. So, my age, my time between climaxes is like 12 hours. I wish it were. Actually, my wife wouldn't like it, but I would kind of wish it. And my life couldn't accomplish as much in life as I have. And I think about my life retrospectively. It wasn't until the refractory period started to deteriorate in my late 30s that I could actually focus on business and self-education, etc. So,
I think there's a book actually. Is that Think and Go Rich, where they actually talk about that. Man, once he gets to 40 and he starts to usually get things a little more together because he didn't mention refractory period, but I'm pretty sure that's what Napoleon Hill was trying to talk about.
Yeah. Well, the device that Brian Johnson is using, which is the Atom, just counts the number of nocturnal erections and their duration. Our device, when this Dr. O'Talley came to me, that's what he wanted to do. Just put this put this, condom-like ring on your penis at night, count them on erections. And because I played around with sex toys, I said, no, wait a second. We can do better than that. If we can embed sensors into a cock ring, we can not just, a cock ring that can be both one overnight and one during sex. We can not only measure the number of nocturnal erections at night, but we can also measure what's more important to me, and I'm certain to you, which is, hey, what's going on when I'm fucking? What's going on with my duration? What's going on with my firmness? So the atom can't measure firmness. We measure the hardness of an erection. That's really valuable, and probably actually more valuable than nocturnal erections. And we're going to prove that. I'm confident we're going to prove that. So our device. So you're probably unaware of this, but let me ask you a question. Have you ever used a cock ring?
No.
Okay, so you're probably straight then. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the jokes we have at medical conventions is, how you tell the difference between a straight doctor and a gay doctor. You ask one question: do you use a cock ring? Straight doctor, pride reaction is like, oh, I don't need that. It's like Superman kryptonite. Whoa, I don't need a cock ring. I think I am, but gay doctor. Last night, got a better one. So the problem with cock rings is that they've made out of hard silicone, and it's kind of like putting a noose on your dick. And it's like, who needs a hangman? I want a great erection. I want a great orgasm. I don't want a fucking hangman. So our cock ring is made out of soft elastomer. It's uniquely comfortable. Our cock ring was designed to put the right amount of pressure over the urethra. No one's thought about this. Took a doctor, me, to think about this. The way that for a man to have a better orgasm is to draw out ejaculation. So we designed one of our rings, Max PR, to increase the ejaculation in men by 50%. My orgasm goes from ejaculation time goes from 4 seconds to 7 seconds. My wife says she's glad the kids are out of the house, because I'm loud. I mean, it's intense with that ring. And guys, so we've also done this study in which we've measured the D2 message time. The D2 message time, as far as I know, no one's ever studied this objectively. These message time it takes for your erection to go down. So the more blood that's in your penis, the more sensitive the penis, the more powerful the orgasm. So ordinarily, a penis goes down, in the study we did of 12 men, goes down, I think it's like 42 seconds after orgasm. With tadalafil, which is Cialis, it was over 2 minutes. With the ring, our ring, of course, it was over 4 minutes. And the two together, tadalafil plus the ring, was over 5 minutes. And these are all men without ED. So what's really the message to all men, including straight guys like you, is, hey, do you want a better orgasm? Let me ask that question again. Do you want to have a better orgasm?
Of course.
Put a ring on it and take a PD5 medication. And I'm confident that within 3 years, 3 to 5 years, that will become the norm. Both of the people say, I don't need that. But it's not about need. It's about want. I don't need a ring or medication to have sex. I want it now because it's obvious to me that it's more pleasurable. So why wouldn't I want that? Yeah. And my wife digs it because it makes our lovemaking more confident on her part. So
I had a question, and then because you mentioned Cialis or tadalafil. There's actually I was just looking at that myself, not even for this reason, but just because there's other health benefits of low dose Cialis.
That's right.
So with that said, though, with that low dose Cialis that a lot of, I guess, biohackers are looking into, like myself now? Is that the kind of dosage that you're talking about?
It is. So okay. The biohacker talking about 5 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
This study was done with 10 milligrams.
Okay.
So it's not. Another value to what we're doing with the ring is, if people can personalize their data. So on the PD5 side, I know from my own data that 20 is no more effective than 10. So why would I take 20?
Mm-hmm.
And I also know from my personal data that there are certain, because I do have borderline blood pressure, there's the 2 blood pressure medications that will affect how hard my penis is. And we have doctors who are our customers who are using the device for personal reasons to titrate a dose of antidepressants and antihypertensives, especially when people as they get older, start taking multiple medications. The effects can be synergistic upon this performance.
That's interesting. And so, just in case listeners are thinking this might be coming up, another one popular in the market is Viagra, but that's completely different to my understanding.
Viagra's still downfill, and we haven't done any research. It's still downfill, but you could if you want to.
Yeah. Okay. And so, what is the when we're looking at this and somebody's like, one of the benefits is cardiovascular health, right? What are some of the other benefits that probably goes above people's head that they don't think about?
Well, it's also cardiometabolic, and that if someone has is borderline diabetic or is diabetic, we become another way of following the health of their blood vessels. One of my hopes for this is that people will develop a positive relationship, have more sex, positive relationship with their wife. When my wife bought a digital scale, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I started using digital scale. I'm almost addicted to it right now. I can get on the scale first thing in the morning. I don't really need to. I don't weigh that much. But people have Whoop or Aura, the Apple Watch or Biohacker or whatever. People start following this health data. And what health, as you and I said earlier this podcast, what health data is more compelling than someone's sexual health data? Not many data points. So that's the value of this is to establish a baseline and then be able to monitor it. Now, for a guy your age, how old are you?
37.
So the value of the data here for you is, if you were diabetic, hypertensive, or taking medication, then the data is valuable to you. But if you're in good health, the data is less valuable to you. But as a man who's 45, 50, or 50 years old, they want to know the data. That you're starting to enter the age of risk for heart disease and type 2 diabetes. So if I went to, or if let's imagine that you were 45 years old, and you went to a doctor for your first big annual physical. You got a high stress job and you're 10 pounds overweight, and you exercise, but you just kind of don't want to figure things out. And the doctor just said, took out a stethoscope and listened to your chest and said, "Hey, your heart sounds good." You think, what the fuck is this, 1880? I want an electrocardiogram. I want a stress test. I want to know my lipoprotein profile. How about taking my blood pressure while you're at it? So with this, I'm confident that what we're doing will become that kind of vital sign. So for someone in good health, age 45, 50, it's a way of establishing baseline.
Yeah.
For someone
that's what I was going to say, actually, is that it's a good baseline. Like, I have certain things that I monitor now, just because it's good to have a baseline to say, hey, this is how I was performing at 35. This is how I'm going to perform at 40, et cetera, and et cetera. And I think it's, and plus for me, it's almost like I can gamify it. So generally when I get something back, it's like, now I have something to compete against.
Well, you can compete with your friends too, if you want.
Sure.
So who's, you and your friends can say, well, let's see who spent the most time erect over the upcoming month. Hey, you guys can have a prize for it.
That's true. And depending on the competitor, competition is competition.
Who's firmer, the Lakers or the Knicks? I want to know.
And so, speaking on those I looked at the site and everything, and I saw different things, right? I heard there's a firmness, right? Now, is that when I hear that, I'm thinking like the actual strength of the penis, right?
Well, we're measuring radial rigidity, which is firmness. It's the girth.
Okay.
We're not measuring actual rigidity. We're not interested in length. But you can't have length without firmness, and firmness is the building block.
Right. Because, if it loses that firmness, that's also a sign that the vascularity is
correct.
Is because the vascularity is what makes it enlarge and helps those things, right?
Right. And
okay.
If this is reassuring to some guys with really big penises, they actually have trouble getting firm because it's just so much blood. Anyway,
okay.
The firmness really is valuable. I've seen it with myself. I started a medication called Lisinopril. My firmness went down 15%. Why take that medication? Stop.
And then the other one is this, obviously, the average nocturnal erections. Now, so what I'm thinking here is just like almost like sometimes when somebody gets a wearable and they start looking at HRV, and a lot of people's baseline HRV is going to be dependent. It's all over the place, right? Some of it's a little bit genetic, right? Some people have HRV in the hundreds. Some have theirs in the 50. Doesn't mean that the person in the 50 is bad. It just means it's relative to them. So when I'm thinking of the nocturnal erections, is there going to be like a general range that men are going to need that we all need to be at?
We think, meaning urologists, and I'm not, doctors think that it's 3 to 5 per night. But there are things that have an impact on that. So we've noticed that people have sex before they go to bed, and the number of nocturnal erections goes down. So what's normal in those people? Actually, there's a doctor in Michigan who's doing an internal study of that right now, and then wants to do a larger study. Because our device, used to be people had to go to a lab with a device called a Regiscan and sleep with this hooked up to monitors in order to monitor their nocturnal erections. But we have data that no one else has, and that data will be analyzed and published over 2024 or 2025, so people will actually know what normal is. But right now, it looks like about 3 to 5 is normal. Goes down with age, but doesn't go down. It probably is more of an exponent. Goes down exponentially in terms of you're really good until you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You're at. What we've seen with people is they're at 4 or 5, and then they have some event, usually a surgical event or major, or they start taking lots of medications for other reasons, and it just falls off. The device is really valuable for prostate disease. Go ahead, I interrupted you.
No, I was thinking, has there been anyone with like 6 or 7?
Oh yeah. So we don't really know. That's the point. So we don't really know what's normal. Yeah. And I know for myself, if I drink heavily, or I travel, if I get on a plane and fly overnight, I might take a pill to sleep. I've had none. If I drink heavily, they go down, and that's interesting because I'm not an alcoholic, so I don't drink heavily regularly. But I party a lot, and it would be a warning to me if I'm monitoring it, if I regularly had one nocturnal erection in a week, and you can see the amount of alcohol. My erections will go. We measure on a 1 to 10 scale. If my average is anything more than 6.5 is good. You can penetrate. Anything, my nocturnals will be sometimes in the 8 to 9 range, and if I drink alcohol, I'm down to hit like a 4 or 5. Well, that's that was a regular problem. It would make me stop drinking. I like having sex. So
yeah. So I'm thinking there, when you're drinking like that, because this is the issue that a lot of times when I'm doing any type of consulting with people is mentioning like the alcohol, and you think it's helping you go to sleep, but really, I mean, sure, you're going to sleep, but what's the quality of that sleep? So I'm thinking, is there a connection here between sleep quality and then just the nocturnal erections?
Well, that's really interesting too, because we don't know, and that's something that's going to be studied as well too, now that we have data. So if people have this fantasy that they're getting information about their sleep off of a ring or a watch, well, there's an accelerometer there. It's also measuring your pulse, and the accelerometer knows that there are certain movements that are associated with you getting out of bed to have a snack at night versus you not moving during when you're having rapid eye movement sleep because you're in deep sleep. We know. Well, sleep scientists think, and I think it's true too, that every episode of deep sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, is associated with an erection. So if you measure the duration of erections, are you coming up with a more accurate time of the amount of quality sleep you're having than off a peripheral accelerometer on your finger or your wrist? And we don't know. And internally, our engineers who have peripherals think that the duration of the nocturnal erection is actually more accurate. So we hope to do a paper sometime in 2024. We're just under resourced right now, and we hope to do a paper though that will sort that out, because it could be that an underwearable is more accurate than a wearable in terms of telling you about the quality of your sleep.
That would be very interesting, and that would probably cause a lot of cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Because right now, I have these wearables, and I take that aspect with a grain of salt, because it's not going to be complete accurate. It's just Yeah, I tell people it's a general idea, really, and give or take, it's a general idea, and a lot of times you can go by feeling as well. I just like to have this as kind of I just like data and numbers, and it's just a way to compete and stuff. That's all. But yeah, so that's interesting on that front. I had a question now. One of the things I saw on this thing was the amount of men at 30, which is ED. Is this something that's becoming more and more of a prevalent issue with men?
Yeah, it is. But the reporting is subjective, but it's reporting. It's almost doubled since ~70s. That's pretty shocking. I mean,
Like,
50 years, the amount of ED reported age 30 has gone from, off the top of my head, 10-12% of men to almost 30% of men.
Jesus, it can't just be men, a lot more men are overweight now, right? I mean, that's part of it, right? But do you think there's
Probably.
I'm thinking
the more men are diabetic, and men are also taking antidepressants.
Mhm.
That's having an impact. And also, you could say that men are the more anxious or more sensitive about their sexual performance. I suspect that that's a big part of it. I think that a lot of people have unrealistic expectations about sex, don't know how to communicate well with partners. You were talking about that offline earlier about the impact of social media on people's ability to communicate, how people communicate things.
So that's probably an issue of, I would probably think, pornography a little bit with men, and just see.
In fact, women watch pornography too. I think women have, or I call it HBO sex expectations, and when people have this notion that someone, even your age, is just gonna, hey, I'm so turned on, and I'm gonna throw up against the wall and bang you. Well, that ain't happening. I don't know about you. I mean, the type of, or that they're going to be able to come easily, or is this an issue for men? Yes, I think women like to blame men, so then they like to blame porn. I mean, one thing that's, and it's true that porn has built the web, but the shopping the web is really about shopping, and who spends all their fucking time shopping online? Women. To the point that it's desocializing. I mean, the women are shopping all the time online, and I mean, so I'm at a fair number of sexual health conferences, and there are women who bring up this issue of porn with men, and actually there are training programs to desensitize men to pornography or to masturbation, and I don't know if that's really the case. I think that porn overall, it's probably good for men. It's an escape. It gives them ideas about different ways of making love, and I think that if we're going to condemn porn for men, we need to condemn shopping for women, and also women get unreal expectations from watching porn as well too. I mean, guys' dicks just aren't as big as they are in pornography. You want to talk about men being desensitized by watching incredible bodies online. Well, happens to women as well too. It happens to women watching movies and watching equivalent softcore porn as well. I just can't go there.
Mm-hmm. That's a very rational and balanced take that actually makes a lot of sense if you really kind of remove a lot of layers and be completely objective about it. So with relationships and everything, do you think sex is one of the you think that's the biggest issue with relationships going down in the long run? You think that's the number one?
Yes. I think people all too easily fall out of making love regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the successful marriages or long-term relationships I know are successful for one of two reasons, and often both. One, they make love frequently. It's not I'm tired, stressed at work, the kids. No, there's an expectation that they're going to make love, and people see it as both as an escape from the daily routine, and something that they're going to share together. And the other is religion, and often I'm taken aback with FirmTech by how many of our happiest customers are Christians, committed Christians, who also have a lot of sex. It's not what people think about in Los Angeles or New York or San Francisco about what people are doing. I mean, the highest use per capita of sex toys in the United States is Wyoming. Think about that. the highest incidence of I think Alaska's number 2, and
Alaska.
I think Montana's number 3. Anyway, I think there are three things that people can do every day
Mm-hmm.
to make their lives happier. Whether they're with someone, and I hope they are, or not with someone. One, you can have sex, and sex should be planned. Ideally, sex is planned. People want to talk about spontaneity, but heck, if I want to cook a great meal, I don't go to the refrigerator and say, "Oh, what's in the refrigerator? Oh my God, oh, there was some rotisserie chicken. I guess I'll heat that up." That's boring. Sex can become boring very, very, very quickly. People need to plan for pleasure. Just the way you don't go to the gym and just do two activities if I went to the gym and did 2 things every time I went to the gym, I'd give it up. And that's what people do with their sex lives. They make love in 1, 2, maybe 3 positions, and it gets boring. People also need to prioritize it. I mean, this is something that nature has given us to enjoy, together, especially if people are going to confine themselves to a committed relationship. I'm not talking about the niche, ethical, polyamorous, or let's just focus on the way people really, really live, and are going to continue to live. Couples need to figure out early on, how are we going to make this fun for both of us? And if you can go to the gym 10 hours a week, you can go to the bedroom 2 hours a week, and your life will be happier. The other thing people can do is people can eat really well every day. It's not that hard to get a damn cookbook and eat really well and enjoy food, as opposed to sitting down with some processed food that you buzz in the microwave while you're on your phone and you're there with your partner. 3, get intoxicated. I don't mean get totally fucked up. You can't walk and crash your car, but there's not, have a drink or 2, have a puff of pot to shift the mood, to get out of the work, children head, and you don't need to be rich to do these things. I mean, there are other things, but ideally people also, they share values. They share interest in reading and art. I'm blessed. I live in Montana. I got horses. I got dogs. I live in beautiful country, and I get outdoors, and that's nice too. But if you're living in an apartment the way many people do, you have to think about how am I going to enrich my life in this small environment, that I live in.
All right, Dr. Justin, thank you for joining me for a unexpected part 2.
Well, this is a big topic.
Yeah, so it's a very important topic. So I appreciate you joining me again. And so and so one of the things that I wanted to discuss is when it comes to just the technology aspect of this and how this is going to work. So I would love to just dive into that aspect.
Sure. Well, this is what it looks like on the penis. And what we've done is embedded sensors into a smart cock ring. So there's a pressure sensor there. See it right there. And then inside the hook in here, it's always hard with the camera being reversed. Here, inside the hook, there's another sensor. So as the hook gets pulled, I'll put this back on the dildo, and I can explain it. As the penis expands radially, expands in girth, not length, it does 2 things. It presses on the sensor that's here underneath the penis, and it also pulls on the hook. There, hook is over there. So as those sensors get pulled on, we can now measure the firmness, which as it presses against as the penis expands, and measure time. We measure the duration of erections. We will be adding pulse oximetry to this. We're already testing that, and we'll probably come out with that in it'll probably be 9 months before we do that. And adding pulse oximetry, which is the oxygenation of the blood, will allow us to increase the sensitivity and specificity of the device and what the doctors want. So right now the variability is about 5-10%, meaning kind of like blood pressure. I mean, like my home blood pressure machine. One day it might be 120, another day it's 115, might be 125. That's within the range of variability of that machine, and we want to increase the sensitivity and specificity of this device. So with our device right now, a firm erection might be an 8, but could actually be an 8.5 or 7.5. It doesn't really make that much of a difference because we're tracking trends. But if we add pulse oximetry, it'll make it even more accurate. Plus, it'll also open up the sleep market as well. because we think that there's a good chance that our device, all men with sleep apnea have erectile dysfunction, and we think that our device could be helpful for men, the many men who have that problem as well, to monitor the relationship between their apnea and their sexual health. And after all, what do men care more about, the sleep apnea or their penis? So ideally, with erectile fitness, as we discussed yesterday, we're measuring we're getting assessment to some degree of men's cardiovascular health, their cardiometabolic, diabetic health, and I think since men are more interested in the penis than almost any other body part, anything that decreases blood flow to your penis is also going to decrease blood flow to your brain and your heart. If you pay more attention to the penis, they will have a better heart, and hopefully a better brain too. I mean, there's a study that came out in 2010 showing that if men have sex every day for 2 weeks, the cortisol levels go down. The cortisol is a hormone that's a measure of stress. So I look forward to a day when Julian, when you and I go, go to a doctor, or any man goes to a doctor and says, "Gee, I'm stressing my life," and the doctor says, "You should be masturbating, having sex at least once a day for 30 to 40 minutes."
I would. Do you ever think that you'll ever see medicine get to that point where and even if they wanted to sound a little more professional and not even just so blunt like that, where they just start paying attention more to sexual fitness and overall health? Do you even think they'll get there?
Yes, I do think we're going to get there. I do think I think that that's part of the fun of what I'm. And frankly, the importance of what we're doing in FirmTech is that we will change the fields of urology, sexology, and eventually and gynecology. We will make sex and its impact on our overall health more important. As to whether it'll get to the point where you're 16 years old and your girlfriend just dumped you, and your mother tells you, "Hey, Elliot, why don't you go jerk off? I don't want to hear about your girlfriend anymore. You'll feel a lot better if you jerk off." I don't think we're ever going to get to that point, but maybe.
Yeah. Well, part of this is also a societal thing as well, because in the States here, where it's a overly sexualized culture, but it's something that's still taboo, whereas it's a lot more open in other different cultures. And so I think that's the thing as well.
I agree with that.
So the next thing is the safety profile of this, and because I think in the past that's kind of been one of the issues, right?
Yeah, cock rings have been made out of hard silicone. They pinch, and you have to have an erection to put them on, because once you put them on, they're like a chokehold on the penis. They're like putting a noose in the penis on and therefore, because they're choking off the blood flow into the penis, they can only be worn for 20 to 30 minutes. So this ring is made out of a very soft material, soft elastomer. It's very flexible. It doesn't block the arterial flow in. It only constrains the venous return, so it can be worn safely for hours. If someone does have a problem, it's easy on, easy off. It opens and closes with a hook. You don't have to dig your fingers in and pull it off. So it's been designed for safety and comfort, and also for prolonged sex. I mean, who wants to take something off at 20, 30 minutes because it's starting to hurt? So, and there's a doctor who's looked at our database, and she pulled out 600 uses by men of our device for more than 4 hours without any safety complications. So I'm confident that our device or devices made out of our material, because the American Urology Association can't necessarily endorse a product, but they can endorse the features of a product, and the features of our product, I'm confident, will become commonplace in the future in sex toys. And those will be the hook, and that'll also be the material, this soft elastomer, that they'll become standard in 2 or 3 years.
I'm curious. I saw a couple of doctors on your website and everything talk about it and using it with their patients and everything. What's the strategy to kind of make this more, I don't know if mainstream's the right word, but just more of a normal thing in terms of the health world and getting more doctors buy-in with this?
Yeah, well, the strategy, if I had lots of money, I would, I'd be pursuing this much more aggressively. There are companies in this space that are spending $80,000, $100,000 a day.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and they're spending $250 to capture one customer. I don't have that kind of money. So my approach is different. My approach is not really through advertising because I don't have the budget, but one to have research that gives this device credibility to the urologists and sexologists, and the other companies the other companies that compete in this space with erection rings aren't doing that. They're just marketing the hell out of it. And you can, and, you know, if you have a lot of money, you can sell pretty much anything. So we're doing it by having research that establishes either the superiority of our products in terms of comfort and effect, more intense orgasms, or hey, we provide data that no one else does, and that data is really valuable to you and your healthcare providers. And go to meetings that are congresses that are focused on that, urology conventions or Society of Sexual Medicine conventions.
Yeah, because I do think that's actually a better long-term strategy, even if it takes a little longer. Because I think you'll get a lot more people when you hear, okay, there's actually data, right? So maybe if they weren't just the sex aspect, but it's the data aspect as well. Because like you mentioned earlier, when we think about blood flow to the penis, that's also blood flow to our heart. That's also blood flow to our brain. And so if you want to get someone, sometimes a buy-in, you can get someone's attention talking about their penis probably a lot quicker than you can sometimes just about overall health. So I think the data aspect is because that's what interests me when I saw it. I was like, wow, this is like a wearable for down there, and that's something I've never seen.
Here are two analogies. Let's suppose you were my patient and you told me, you know, my pulses are regular. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to faint. And I said, sounds like having an arrhythmia. Why don't you try this pill? You would think, what the fuck? Have an electrocardiogram? Can we find out more about this irregular pulse? Or if you told me, gee, you know, sometimes my pulse pounds. I think I might have high blood pressure. And I said, oh, Julian, just let's try this pill. You would think, aren't you not going to check my blood pressure? So that's what we're doing to largely in urology. I mean, a urologist can do an ultrasound in the office, but men want to know what's going on while they're trying to have sex. The ultrasound in the office is interesting, about talking about evaluating blood flow in the penis. But men and their healthcare providers really should want to know what's going on when the men are trying to perform. It's a very different environment. I don't know about you, but if someone puts an ultrasound and cold jelly on my dick in their office, I ain't getting a hard on.
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, and speaking about that, one of the last things is talking about women. And at the very intro when we talked about this, and you mentioned women with nocturnal erections. And is there? I think did you say that this may have been off camera that you're thinking about a product for women as well?
Yeah, we've tested on 38 women. We want to objectively evaluate clitoral health, and our thesis is that it's the same as in men. It's about blood flow, intact nerves, and smooth muscle function, and we need to make, you know, women have the same complaints that men do in terms of erectile dysfunction. It's called FSD, female sexual dysfunction. Younger women have more problems than men do. Of course, I want to blame it on men, but women take antidepressants more than men do, and those have an impact on the sexual performance. And women take hormones for birth control, which has an impact on the sexual performance. And if women had data, they could decide what medication is best for them, what dose is best for them. So we have that's our goal. So we can now measure clitoral blood flow with an at-home device that could be used in privacy. It's in early stages, and really, if I had more money, I could accelerate development. But regardless, we're going to come out with it 2025. We might come out with it late in 2024.
And so it's going to work the same way as the for the men in terms of the will you have different in terms of like what are you going to measure?
I don't want to reveal all of it because there's one part of it that is, I'll talk to you off camera. But we're gonna measure the pulse oxygen, the blood flow and the blood oxygenation and temperature of the clitoris. And inside the vagina, we're going to do something that the lioness vibrator does. We're going to measure pubic muscle contractions as well. But we're going to do something else, two other things as well.
Okay. Yeah. I actually see this getting really popular with biohackers.
Oh yeah, I hope so.
I see this getting really popular with biohackers, and I really do see this getting really popular with biohackers.
Yeah, me too.
So, but and so I'm trying to think I think that's covers the big things that I wanted to cover and everything. And so, as I wrap this up, what are maybe one or the two things that you're most excited about for the incoming year?
Yeah, well, we are going to launch 2 new products. We have a vibrator we call a Duet that slides on and off our rings, so it's really great for solo pleasure, or it can be used for partner pleasure, and addresses some of the problems that go on with current devices that are for that purpose, and that is more comfortable. But I'm most excited about adding pulse oximetry to the male device, because it'll make the device more sensitive specific. But the most exciting thing to me is the research that's going to go on. We are going to establish our erectile fitness score as the way to evaluate men's sexual health, whether they have ED or don't have ED. And if urologists are performing research on men for whatever prostate issues or for erectile dysfunction, it's no longer going to be a subjective scoring system. It's going to involve an objective scoring system, which I aspire to be ours.
Now, is it speaking of the prostate, I think the standard treatment, how they go about prostate, doesn't that a lot of times just completely eradicate men's sexual health?
It's a dick killer. So somewhere between 40% to 80% of men who have prostate surgery, followed by radiation, endo radiation, have significant erectile dysfunction to the point where they really can't function. With the value of our device is several fold with that. One, we can establish a baseline before and after. And since it takes months after months to recover, a lot of men give up. They have to pump, there are injections, there are pills, there are exercises. And if a man sees that he's having nocturnal erections, even though he can't perform yet, it can inspire that. The man can actually track his recovery. Whereas right now, a man could be doing these things for months and nothing's happening. It's not visible to them yet, even though they are benefiting. So we hope that the recovery rate of potency after prostate surgery will improve with the use of our technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know that's a big thing. That I had prostate issues in the family, and just the more I do research on it, and I hear about kind of the after effects of that, it's just pretty much a lot of your manhood's gone with the way they do those treatments. And
yeah,
and
most men consider suicide.
Yeah,
and there are men who commit suicide as a consequence. And
I don't know necessarily if sometimes people jump the gun too much on some of those treatments, but I don't know much to give a definitive opinion on it. But it just seems like a lot of times we jump the gun too much on some of these procedures.
That's probably true. I'm not a urologist. I'm really not qualified to comment on that, but I share your perspective. I'll put it that way.
As I always say, look, I always tell people, look, I said, look, I did 1 year medical school, I left, and I just read things and I have an opinion, but it's all for entertainment purposes at the end of the day on my end, right? So take it or leave it. But it's just observation and then things I hear through the grapevine. Yeah, well, I'm not qualified to make recommendations about a man who has prostate cancer. My knowledge in that area is limited. There are areas of erectile health that I think I have a singular expertise in because I've seen data that other people haven't had. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that makes sense. The human body is a very complex system, and there's a lot of nuances involved with that. So it's no one's the definitive source and knows everything. So but I guess one of the last things is is there any blind spots in terms of that we're not thinking about when it comes to our erectile health that maybe we haven't addressed yet?
Blind spots. I guess I can't think of, it's been a long conversation, so I can't think of, I'm trying to think about things. I think there are several blind spots. I think that people need to be people now have the opportunity, use technology to get personal data and assess the impact of medications, supplements, etc., upon their sexual health. I think the other blind spot that we touched on briefly is straight men, especially more than gay men, need to open their minds to the value of cock rings. Their attitude should no longer be, "I don't need that," because most guys want, I don't need this. I could have sex every day, and I don't need it. I want it. So why do I want it? And this is what I've learned. I want it because for myself, and I want it for my wife. I want it for myself because it produce more intense orgasm for me. But also, in terms of my wife and I, why do we want it? It makes us both more confident. At my age, when I was 15 years old, if I got an erection, I could stay hard for a long time without any fucking stimulation. I get hard just from brushing hands against a girl. At my age, I would lose an erection in a few minutes without just a stimulation. And and the stimulation as well too, that might just become boring. So what does the ring do for my wife and I? It makes us more confident. Once I'm hard, I ain't losing it. So there are things that we do, or positions that she still enjoys I might not like, but that don't give me enough stimulation at my age, that work now with the ring on. Heck, that's been a game changer. And it also men and if men are going to drink and want and have sex, the ring is going to help you. It's going to help keep you hard. And that's just the reality. You and I can be on the show and say, "Hey, don't have more than 2 cocktails." That's not the reality of life for a lot of people. And so the ring, if you want to have better sex, put a ring on it, take a PD5 medication, and have sex. But it's going to be better, last longer, and make you and your partner feel more confident.
Well, I think this is a great way to wrap up this conversation. It's definitely been a very entertaining conversation over the span of 2 days now with us. And it's a very eye-opening conversation as well for me and probably for a lot of the listeners out there who don't know a lot about this. So I thank you for joining me again. And where can listeners keep up with you at?
Sure. We're not very active on Instagram because we're really more about health than we are about that kind of brand stuff. We're there. But you can find us at MyFirmTech, MyFirmtech, MyFirmTech.com. You can contact me personally at Elliot, ELLIOT, at MyFirmTech.com. And if you want our products, my personal promo code is I know Elliot, one word, I know, that's KNOW, ELLIOT.
All right. And I will have all this in the show notes. And Dr. Justin, again, thank you for joining me. And for the listeners out there, stay awesome, be limitless. And as always, go be the CEO of your health and your life. Peace.